Hey guys, Dr. Justin Marchegiani here. Today we're going to be talking about the top shocking ways that you are going to negatively impact your kidneys. We're going to dive into that topic today. And before we do, if you enjoy the content, give me a thumbs up. Love that. And love to see your comments down below. All right. So first off, your kidneys, they're the main mechanism of your body filtering out toxins. So you have your liver as well, which is going to filter out your hepatic portal vein, which is all the blood from all the food that you've eaten. All that nutrients goes to the hepatic portal vein. It's going to get filtered in through the liver and then come back out, and you'll have nice, clean nutrients coming out from that. Now, the kidneys are also going to take a lot of liquid waste, right? So you're going to go hepatic portal vein, liver, gallbladder, any toxins may get dumped out via the gallbladder into the gut and then out the stool. So it's going to go liver, it's going to go stomach, intestines, hepatic portal vein, liver, gallbladder, filtered out, toxins removed, gallbladder back out into the intestines and out the stool. And then on the kidney side, any liquid waste or toxins that go out the liquid way are going to go out essentially via sweat or primarily urination. So those are the main means of detoxification. So having good hydration is important because the solution to pollution is dilution. If we're taking toxins that are going to be in a liquid form, the more we dilute them, the less toxic they're going to be. You take a little bit of food dye into some water. The more water you put, the more diluted it gets, right? Same thing with toxins, whether it's phthalates or different mold toxins or different chemicals in the environment, plastics, right? The more we dilute them, the more that's going to help the kidneys flush it out. So making sure we're hydrated as well. People get very worried about protein in the kidneys. You're not to worry about protein in the kidneys. The only reason you would worry about protein in the kidneys is if you already have kidney failure. That's the only time you'd worry about protein. Now, the problem is, what are the biggest foods that negatively impact your kidneys? So high levels of insulin and thus high levels of glucose or fructose are very damaging on the kidney. So in other words, your pancreas makes insulin. The beta cells of the pancreas make insulin. That insulin goes up in response to sugar or carbohydrate coming in. So you have carbohydrate from starches that gets broken down into glucose. And then you have added sugar, whether it's sucrose is 50-50 fructose and glucose, or high fructose corn syrup, which is 55-45 high fructose to glucose. So artificial stuff that come in. The fruit, you're going to have that half and half as well. Some fructose in there. You'll have some fiber and some pectin and some nutrients. So it's not quite the same as artificial fructose. And then, of course, vegetables, very little carbohydrate there. And then you're going to have your starches, like I mentioned, mostly going to be on the glucose side. When you have carbohydrates, the faster that carbohydrate comes in, they call it the glycemic index or the glycemic load. Glycemic load is going to be everything factored in together, right? Protein and fat. Let's say you have a banana, right? That changes the whole load of the meal because it's all being mixed up in the stomach as chyme together. And so the higher the load, the higher the index, the more insulin we're going to make, right? Especially if it's more processed, if it's more added sugar, we're going to make a lot more insulin because of it. The more insulin surging through our bloodstream, that's very damaging on the kidneys. We want to keep our fasting insulin levels ideally below 10 on a blood test. In a perfect world, below 7 or 5, but definitely below 10. High levels of insulin go to the glomeruli. They're very stressful and they're very hard on the kidneys. And your kidneys reabsorb a lot of electrolytes. They reabsorb sodium, they reabsorb potassium, all these good electrolytes. And so when we start to have, let's say, kidney problems, they'll say, we got to be careful of electrolytes. And the reason why is because the ability to excrete some of these electrolytes goes down. And so you may overly hold on to them. And so if you have kidney issues and you're taking electrolyte support, I think it's still important. Just be monitoring your kidneys every couple of weeks while you're adjusting the dose just to make sure you are good. But in general, high levels of insulin are very damaging on the kidneys. Most kidney transplants go to diabetics. So because insulin and high blood sugar are very damaging on the glomeruli. Also, you have like different IgA, polyglandular, autoimmune issues that can impact the kidneys too. And so the most of the damage to kidneys you're going to see is going to be from high blood sugar and insulin, number one, and autoimmune issues, number two. And we know most autoimmune issues start with the gut, start with gut permeability, leaky gut for slang, but gastrointestinal permeability, overactivating the immune system, opening up the tight junctions, activating the toll-like receptor sites, and then potentially creating molecular mimicry where the body starts to attack other tissues that look similar to certain foods, or we start to have bacteria and biotoxins and mold toxins. These are going to be really damaging too. Mold toxins can also be very hard on the kidneys. That's why we like when we have mold issues, we're going to be adding in binders. We're going to want to sequester those toxins, pull out the stool, because mold toxins can be very hard on the kidneys too. So big things out of the gate. We want to make sure we have good hydration. We want to make sure we have good electrolytes. High blood pressure is a big deal because your kidneys filtering out your water, your blood. It's filtering out your blood. And so if you have high blood pressure, we're pushing fluid through that filter at a faster rate. That can put more stress on the filtration. And so what's the way that we get our blood pressure down? Biggest thing is inflammation. Inflammation causes blood vessels to contract, right? You put your thumb over the garden hose, what happens? It sprays further and faster. So get your inflammation down, right? Look at the big foods that drive inflammation. Anything more processed, anything on the glutinous grain side, any of your big food allergens. Look at your potential processed dairy if you're sensitive in that area. Look at any of your added sugar or any processed fats. Those are going to be the big foods we're going to look at, right? Your paleo kind of template foods are going to be ideal. And again, keeping the carbohydrates in check, right? Because if blood pressure goes up high, that can be a problem. High levels of insulin are going to also impact and they're going to cause extra sodium retention. When sodium retention goes up, water follows sodium. So when water goes up, then your blood pressure can also go up. So making sure your insulin is not high, that can increase blood pressure. Too much fructose can also decrease an enzyme called endothelial nitric oxide synthase. And that compound is a natural vasodilator. And so if we, let's say, eat too much fructose, that can negatively impact our body's ability to vasodilate. That's very important too. And then, of course, certain things like magnesium are very important for vasodilation. Magnesium is a natural beta blocker, so it helps relax the heart. If the heart's relaxed, it's not going to be beating too hard or too fast, which then can keep the blood pressure modulated too. And then we got to look at the adrenals, right? If we're hyper secreting cortisol, that stress can impact adrenaline. It can make more norepinephrine. Epinephrine, our catecholamines, all kind of the same thing. And that can cause more stimulation, more of that sympathetic nervous system response. We got to look at that too, because that can negatively impact our blood pressure as well. So keeping our blood pressure in check is number one, making sure we mitigate our toxins in our body. It could be plastics. It could be mold toxins. It could be heavy metals. These are going to put stress on the kidney pathways as well. 3, get your blood sugar and insulin in check. They're both connected because the sugar, whether it's fructose, sucrose, or glucose is less because our muscles can manage that more. And then the high fructose corn syrup is a big deal because it doesn't stimulate a leptin the same way, so you don't feel as full. So it's really easy to overeat fructose. People talk about, well, calories. Well, yeah, but not all calories tell your brain to be full. That's the big difference, right? Hormones play a big role, and your neurotransmitters play a big role as well. So we have, in regards to our kidneys, again, we have high insulin, high glucose. We have different toxins from mycotoxins or heavy metals or pesticides. We have blood pressure. Blood pressure is a big deal, and blood pressure is intimately connected to the high levels of insulin and glucose. And then also making sure we're hydrating, because the solution to pollution is dilution. And then, of course, the autoimmune component. The last of the 5 is the autoimmune. We know certain polyglandular IgA nephropathy problems have an autoimmune component. We know how the gut and the gut permeability plays such an important role with that. And then different supplements we like or we use. Cordyceps is wonderful. Ginseng is wonderful. Astragalus is great. You want to work with a good functional doctor that can really work on helping to dial these things in and making sure everything's under control. If you're living in a moldy home, and you have high insulin issues, it's a recipe to really hurt the kidney. So you want to really get to the root underlying cause of why this is there. And then, of course, then add in supplements down the road. Hope this helps. If you guys enjoy the video, please let me know in the comments below. Drop me a like right now and let your friends or family know if they could benefit. And you guys have an awesome day. Take care. Consult down below link if you want to reach out. I see patients worldwide if you want that support. All right, guys, take care.